Peace, G4 family. We in the building, man. We in the building. Come in, guys. It's raining outside. Galactical Federation. Rest your swords, rest your shields. Into Mother's Day. This is for the G4 family. We wasn't able to see our parents today. They might be in another location, or they might not be here, or be alive. So I just want to either send my condolences or just to, talk to y'all, you know what I'm saying? So come in, we have some curry ducks. What is this shit? Curry noodle curry ducks. Yeah, I've been eating unhealthy, so my mind ain't moving how it's supposed to or whatever. Thanks, guys, for supporting me on my healthy journey, so I can have enough money to be able to buy the food that I need to sustain. And I appreciate you guys so much for helping me out, for making things look really less expensive for me. So yeah, G4 family, this is for you guys. I want you to know that you're not alone in this experience of feeling the way that you feel. You've been through experiences with your parents, whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, and they've done things that you can actually be called a little bit unforgivable. Things that you can't take back, things that they can't take back, that they've said to you, things that they've done to you that have altered the decisions of your life and changed the decisions of your life because they weren't healed, or possibly it was even intentional. It made you even think that it was intentional. Now, some of your parents were possessed by work, possessed by money, stress, foods that they were eating. Could have even been spiritual warfare. These people could know that you had a calling on your life and was doing stuff. Or it could have just been you against you, or your parents against your parents. One of one. However, I want you guys to know, right? The relationship between man and woman is interdependent. Black men and women, we must relearn the purpose for which we have come to life. We haven't come here to suffer together or because of one another. We've come to help one another heal spiritually and emotionally, or emotional imperfections. Only two whole people come together to support each other, serve each other, and grow together. So that's what we gotta do. We gotta find a way to be whole, how to be whole, so then two whole people could come together. We could be 90-90, you know what I'm saying? Get a nice little 180, but 100-100 would be great, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're not asking for people to be perfect, you know what I'm saying? Black men and women each have individual healing work to do. Men must heal their minds and find their way back to their hearts. A lot of our hearts, have been closed, you know what I'm saying? But speaking on forgiveness, man, there's a quote that goes, a man who is great enough to forgive is always greater than the forgiven. And forgiveness means that you are willing to let go and move beyond the mistakes that you and others have made. And when you forgive, you make room for change, because whatever you give up will be replaced by something better. Like surrender, forgiveness may be difficult for you. You may believe you are doing something for the other person, usually a person who has hurt or harmed you in the same way. You judge and determine the rightness or wrongness of what has occurred based on your perceptions. You know, this is a little difficult podcast for me for today, because I really do wish that my relationship was better with my mom. And I think there's, certain things that I don't think is just gonna change. And sometimes when I see other people and their parents, the good relationship, it just makes me think like, damn, what would my life be like if my parents were together? Or what would have my life been like if my mom wasn't traumatized and she was the healthiest version of herself? She didn't have to go through what she went through. What would have happened if she would have came to most of my games, or supported me in certain ways that I would have liked personally. So yeah, man, I went through a lot because I reminded my mom of my father. And she couldn't differentiate the times. There was times where she was yelling at me and doing stuff, but I knew she wasn't necessarily doing it to me. She was doing it to my father. But because I looked like him, I guess it made it more easier to move like that. So or do what it is that she wanted to do. And there's nobody there to check her, to say, hey, you're doing wrong, or hey, this is not how you're supposed to be doing it. And I'm not gonna lie, like, out of a lot of the experiences I've been through, when I moved out of my mom's house and got my own place to stay, I stayed in, it was like a crack house. My first place was like a crack house. There was people doing crack upstairs. The drug dealer, my boy, he was upstairs selling the stuff or whatever. But yeah, I was around a lot of crackheads. Crackhead Sam downstairs. This other guy, Debbie, and her boyfriend, they both did crack together, and they was crazy as hell. I think other dude's name was John. He used to get knocked out by people that used to go in there because he used to be tripping. I ain't never really had peace of mind, until I was living on my own. I didn't have to get up and wash no extra dishes and stuff like that. So, I moved out because, I knew at one point, once I started reading, I started to notice that I was being conditioned and programmed to act a certain way. And there was certain foods I was eating that was causing me to be unhealthy, that my mom was cooking, that she's just conditioned to cook. The way I was being spoken to wasn't healthy for me either. Being spoken to like I'm a child, or being disrespected and having to swallow the disrespect. Just a lot of different things that were unhealthy for me. And if I would have stayed in the situation, I would have been emasculating myself. And I couldn't take the emasculation. So I had to leave, and I basically had to start over. And I messed up relationships, with certain people because of certain traumas that I've had that was passed down. People that were purposely in my life to help me, certain checkpoints that were there in my life to help me. Some people be like, damn, would you do I'll do my whole life all over again. I'm one of those type of people. Like, it's so much that I wish I would have known when I was younger, so I could know how to deal with it. Because a lot of things I thought was my fault, But it was really my mom. She was really stressed out. She knew I was a good kid. She'll tell it to everybody. But in the same breath, I was the one, that was being targeted. So, yeah, I know my mom loved me and she cared, but she had her own way of showing it. And sometimes that's not really healthy, So I know that there's other people out here that experience that. I don't really care if we trauma bond or not. If I get a girl, I'd rather be around somebody that understands what the hell I'm talking about than act like they do. People be pretending to have your experience, or they think that they know, and it's very disingenuous how some people are. I'm not cool with the people that were really cool with my mom. That's how bad it was. I was like, nah, ain't no way you was cool with my mom. But anyway, I'm not here to dump anything. I just want those people to know that I've been through it, and I know how it feels when people don't believe you. I just went through some fucking sci-fi experiment, and people don't really believe me. They think I'm crazy. Just how when I told people my mom would do this and she was possessed, man. So now I go through this new experience, and this is a whole nother wave of bullshit. I don't know. But like I said before, we focus on forgiveness, right? Just trying to do this thing right. Forgiveness is not what you do for someone else. It is what you must do to free yourself from distorted perceptions and judgments that create fear, anger, and hatred. It is what you must do to eliminate internal confusion and conflict, okay? I know it's hard. I know how easy it is to be angry at a parent. I know what it's like to have pain and confusion, and the pain and confusion that it causes in your life when you carry a broken heart, a wounded ego into relationships, into your career, and into the role of being a parent. These toxic emotions create patterns of behavior and cycles of fear that are handed down from generation to generation until somebody finds the strength and the courage to say enough and no more. Peace out, Galactical Federation. G4 in the building. 1.